The 6th of June, 1944, France. Dawn breaks over the Channel as the coast of Normandy fills with ships. Allied battleships fire on German fortifications along the beaches, while above, the sky hums with aircraft as paratroopers drop behind enemy lines and fighters sweep low over the fields. By nightfall, more than 100,000 Allied soldiers are ashore, and the news spreads like wildfire through occupied towns and quiet farms. People whisper that liberation has begun. In the hills and forests, the Maquis, the French resistance, cut rails, fell trees across roads, and strike at convoys. In barns and cellars, small radios crackle with coded messages sent from London by the Special Operations Executive. The codes that once sounded like riddles now carry a single clear meaning. Rise, help the landings, break the enemy's lines. Yet, in Bordeaux, hope is shadowed by betrayal. The memory of a broken network and emptied safe houses lingers. Men speak carefully of a former resistance leader who once inspired hundreds, but then turned traitor, becoming a double agent. His decision to aid the Nazis shattered trust and crippled the resistance in the region. As France lifts its head, his fate draws near. His name is André Grandclément. André-Marie Hubert Grandclément was born on the 28th of July, 1909 in the city of Rochefort, in southwestern France. His father was Admiral Raoul Gaston Grandclément, and his mother was Amélie de Barolais. His childhood followed his father's military postings and taught him order and movement. He studied at the Catholic private school in Paris, but spent time also in Lebanese Beirut and Tunis, then under French control. After he finished school back in Paris, he began to prepare for a military career. In this time of his life, he met Geneviève Toussaint. They married in 1929 and had 5 children together. Unfortunately, 3 of them died in infancy, and only 2 daughters, Ghislaine and Francine, survived. Grandclément served as an officer and at the same time studied law in the city of Poitiers. A riding accident and illness pushed him out of the army and into civilian life in 1934. A year later, he settled in Bordeaux as an insurance broker. He built a business, formed new ties, and later separated from his first wife. In 1939, he met Lucette, his future wife. On the 1st of September 1939, the Second World War started. Though once declared unfit to serve in the army, he was recalled to his former unit, and in 1940 he fought in the Ardennes at the Battle of Stonne. He was held high for his combat actions, but in June 1940 he was hospitalized. After the armistice was signed between Nazi Germany and France on the 22nd of June 1940, he returned to Bordeaux. For a short time he looked kindly on the new Vichy order, with hero of the First World War, Philippe Pétain, as a new French leader. André Grandclément was anti-communist and admired the discipline of a France that spoke of national renewal. The reality of occupation and obedience to Germany changed his mind soon. With his father's support, he entered the resistance in 1941, though he remained cautious about working alongside its many leftist and communist members. In 1942, he became part of the right-wing resistance group Organisation Civile et Militaire, known as OCM, and under the name Bernard, was put in charge of the wide area from Poitiers to Bayonne. He brought scattered groups into one frame. He set up a small headquarters, formed fighting teams, marked fields for night drops of material, and opened training sites near Bordeaux. He helped form resistance camps, arranged escape lines to neutral and allied countries, and created a radio contact with London. The aim was simple: to prepare men and hide arms till the uprising against occupiers would come. During his resistance activity on the 20th of January 1943, Grandclément married his fellow resistance fighter, Lucette. That same year, he tied his work with Great Britain. The Special Operations Executive, SOE, a British Secret Service created to support resistance in occupied Europe, needed strong local partners. Its task was to send radios, instructors, explosives, and weapons to the underground, and to guide and cooperate European operations with larger strategy of the United Kingdom and other allies. In southwestern France, it found a willing ally in Grandclément. With SOE support, the Bordeaux network grew fast. Dozens of fields were cleared for parachute drops, and training for the resistance fighters improved. For a time, it seemed everything worked fine. However, it did not. In 1943, German security forces tore great holes in the net of resistance groups in Western Europe. Across France, the Nazis broke networks by informers, radio hunts, and sudden raids. A fall of resistance group in Paris led to arrests also in Bordeaux. Secret files about other resistance groups that should have not even existed were found by Germans and led them to more doors and arrests. For a time, Grandclément escaped capture. But at the end he learned that his second wife, Lucette, had been taken by Germans. He wanted to surrender, to free her, but other resistance fighters did not agree with this plan. He was too important and knew too much. In September 1943, he was recognized in a Parisian cafe, arrested, and taken back to Bordeaux. There, the officer, the German secret police, the Gestapo, and clever spy catcher, Friedrich Dohse, questioned him and laid out what was already known to Germans about his activities. Many names of the resistance fighters were no longer secret, and Grandclément realized that Germans knew about most of his work. Then, the surprising turn came. The German officer recognized his prisoner's hatred of communism and made an offer. If the underground surrendered part of its arms and reduced the armed threat to German rule, many of the captured prisoners would be released. Later, once the Germans withdrew, the same men could form so-called white resistance units to fight the communists in France. It was a bargain that played one fear against the other. Grandclément took a few hours of conditional freedom to talk to his allies about this proposal. Some listened to him, but most rejected the idea, and the talks collapsed. At one point, a resistance member nearly executed Grandclément for treason and collaborating with the enemy. Despite this, he took offer from Gestapo, and about a third of the hidden resistance stocks, around 45 tons of material, were surrendered. In return, around 100 prisoners were released and planned arrests were cancelled. André Grandclément betrayed the resistance and became German double agent. The Grandclément's choice split the underground in the Bordeaux region. Some said he saved lives and preserved strength for the future. Others said he had handed the enemy the means to destroy the local resistance and had broken faith at the worst moment. Meanwhile, the damage spread and Germans moved with brutal speed. No one was safe, and every meeting could be a trap laid by Gestapo. By early 1944, situation in France changed once again. New pressures from German occupiers pushed more men into the resistance. Forced labor orders sent many young workers into the forests instead of to Germany, and the British SOE renewed drops where it could. Ambushes and rail cuts returned. Yet the wound from the pact Grandclément made with Gestapo did not heal. Rumor and anger traveled through the country. In July 1944, the French service in London sent a short message by radio which named Grandclément as a traitor and collaborator with Nazi secret service responsible for the deaths of other resistance fighters. Grandclément still had connections and local protectors. Some believed he had tried to save his men and his enemies were looking for a scapegoat. They hid him and his wife Lucette at Pilat-sur-Mer, near Atlantic coast. He wrote a long plea to present it in London to General Charles de Gaulle, leader of the Free French. Grandclément got rid of his Gestapo surveillance and looked for a way to reach a British plane to get to London. Agents from the revived SOE network in Bordeaux told him they had orders to take him to England so that he could defend himself in person. But it was a lie to make his capture easier. Grandclément believed them, and he agreed to go and took Lucette and his bodyguard Marc Duluguer with him. They were driven not to an airfield but to a hidden camp. There, men of resistance held a short tribunal. They questioned him about the deal with Gestapo. He argued that releases had spared many, and that the pact had redirected German fury away from his men and toward their real enemy, the Communists. His judges believed that the arms he had handed over and information he had given had crippled the resistance in the region and led to arrests and deaths that could not be excused. On the 27th of July, 1944, the day before his birthday, the resistance ordered André Grandclément's execution. The sentence was carried immediately. With him was also shot his bodyguard and his wife Lucette, despite the fact that she did not agree with her husband's decision to cooperate with the Gestapo. The Nazis' reaction showed how much they valued the double agent, who had helped dismantle the resistance structures in Bordeaux and the surrounding area. In early August 1944, they allegedly murdered 50 prisoners in retaliation for Grandclément's death. When André Grandclément was executed by resistance fighters for his dealings with the enemy and betrayal of the French resistance, he was 34 years old. Before we end today's story, take a look at worldhistory.tv, your special destination for true history lovers. Discover exclusive documentaries and incredible stories you won't find anywhere else. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more.